Hello, everybody. ZardX here, back at it again to give you all another very exciting podcast episode. That being my ZardCast holiday special, episode 95. This is going to be a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxful and stuff as y'all are trying to enjoy y'all's your Sunday afternoon, evening, night, or whatever day you happen to be sitting down and watching this episode. Though, as we just have a few things we just want to kind of go through and talk about in the last episode for the podcast series for the year of 2024. So we're going to keep it short, simple, sweet, and concise. So what we're going to talk about for today is going to be about our year-end reviews, our personalized ones. You know how like Nintendo or PlayStation they happen to give you a little year-end reviews with all the stats and stuff you had to be going through and playing through throughout the year of 2024. We're going to give our thoughts on that. Obviously, we're going to talk about holiday traditions and stuff like, general favorite movies and stuff. Go see things, holiday traditions, favorite gaming, Christmas memories, everything else in between. We'll throw that right in the middle of the show. And then we're going to end it off with Nintendo Switch 2 rumors because there's been some interesting things out there here lately that I was like, okay, most things you kind of take with a grain of salt, but when everybody and their mama happen to be talking about this mess, it's like, the floodgates are starting to open up a little bit more though. But Steven, how you doing on this fine holiday evening?
I am doing good.
All righty, you hadn't drank too much eggnog, anything like that. I'm not one of them eggnog people though, but I guess some people have their own holiday drinks and stuff.
Nah, drinking a lot of water. 'Tis the season to be healthy. Fa la 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 la
No,
la
no,
la
no,
la.
heck no to that. I've been eating way too much sweets. All right, I've been eating fudge.
Okay,
I've been eating cookies.
I am
Oh,
lying, by the way. I am absolutely lying because I gotta eat healthier. I've been at my job on my breaks. I've been having. It's really good, by the way. You're gonna get disgusted. It's scrambled eggs, home fries, mozzarella cheese, and then I put cinnamon sugar on top.
Oh, what the heck are you? You said some fries with scrambled eggs on top. I was like, okay, not the most interesting combination, but I could see it if you really want some protein
Cinnamon
on the potatoes.
sugar
But you said cinnamon sugar, and I'm like, hold the phone.
gives it
At,
flavor.
at that point, you're almost just as good as eating French toast, man. What the heck?
It was really good, I swear.
Oh my gosh, you and your weird taste.
You
I
wouldn't
can't.
get it.
Oh, good night. Oh goodness. We'll probably talk about more about food a little later on though, but like my goodness, you're already starting this holiday special weird, man. Like come on. Dang.
I know, I know.
All righty. Well, we might as well go ahead and get this show on the road for the last episode of 2024. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into our year-end reviews. All right, so in terms of our year-end reviews, we're going to go ahead and approach it this way. I've been playing a bunch of PlayStation this year, surprisingly, and we both been playing Nintendo Switch. However, instead of you mostly playing PlayStation, I know there's one game you probably play, obviously Astrobot though. But outside of that, I doubt
Yeah.
you've been playing a lot of PlayStation though. So I'll let you go ahead and kick it off first, Steven, and you can talk about your Steam related year in review that they sent you because I only play one game for Steam, like how you play one
Alright.
game for PlayStation. So go ahead and kick it off.
So I'll go through this as quick as I can. So in 2024, I played 30 games, including 16 new games, 5 demos, and then 9 old games. I unlocked 192 achievements on 18 games. My longest streak was 13 days in a row of playing on Steam from January 11th to January 24th.
Was that Helldivers that you were playing? Helldivers
It
2?
probably was.
Uh-uh.
Right. Well, it was also so just in terms of actual games, 22% of my total playtime in 2024 was Pizza Tower. It does
You
not
and your speed
say
running, man.
it does not say how many hours, but I played a lot of Pizza Tower.
I wish it would
21%
tell you that. Huh, okay.
21% is Rivals of Ether 2. The difference, though, with Rivals of Ether 2 is that it just came out in October. So that's a little crazier. I played a lot of that game. And
Mhm.
then Sonic X Shadow Generations with 7% of my playtime. And then it's just scattered for, the rest of them.
Wait, so what was the top 3 that it had up in there? Pizza Tower, Rivals of Ether. What was spot number 3?
And Sonic X Shadow.
Sonic X Shadow. Okay, that seems
And
about right.
in terms of my games, I played 58% of them were new releases, 15% were classic games, which this is stupid. Steam classifies a classic game as a game that released 8 or more years ago.
Classic. Cla
Doom
I feel like
2016 is
maybe that
classic.
should have been like 10 years or more. It's
Should have
weird how
been
they
15.
hmm.
Next one, recent favorites. The percentage of playtime you had in releases from the last 1 to 7 years. So, like, stuff that released between 1 to 7 years, but not this year, was 27%. All right, next one. The kinds of games I like to play. It. I mostly played games that were classified as with great soundtracks. Played a lot of like games that involved fighting, Souls like, zombies, platformers. I guess zombies is like Resident Evil and Dead Rising, which I played.
Wait, you played the classic version of Dead Rising before they did that remake
Yes,
one that they
yes, I
released?
did.
Yeah, okay.
Dead Rising is not on the list of my most played, but I love it. All right. So yeah, pizza. Yeah, it's just showing the stats. Like Pizza Tower, I played 75% of my total playtime just in January.
Ooh.
Played a lot of Pizza Tower in January. Rivals of Ether 2, I played a lot of that. It's just showing my okay. Here's the other ones. Dead Rising, I played in September for 6% of my total playtime, just under Shadow Gens. Played that for 7 days in a row. Helldivers 2 had 6%. Fact,
And for
but after April, Helldivers completely dropped off my list.
that kinda makes sense because I think, like, between all of those patches and nerfs and stuff, I know you were playing with a couple of
Or
our other friends, and that's when I think all of y'all falled out at that point. I thought I was gonna pick up the game if y'all kept it consistent, but y'all fell off, and I
oh,
was like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
and it doesn't show it on here, but I played in January. 20% of my playtime was Power World, and then
That's
it
crazy
shows.
to think that game came out this year, didn't it? Like,
Yes, it did.
January? Oh my gosh.
All right. So it shows some of the other games I played, but these were like in less than 8% for most of these months. Sonic Adventure 2 I played a couple times. FNAF, Lethal Company. Um, I played Penny's Big Breakaway, but I never finished it.
Ooh, I heard
Gotta
good
get back
things
to that.
about that one. I'm surprised you
It,
didn't finish
it's
that. Yeah.
weird. It's not as great as I expected it to be, but I liked it.
You
A
play
lot
like a
of lot
few
of
hours,
weird,
I guess.
yeah, a lot of weird
Mm.
games I played or this time around. Honestly, in May, 68% of my time was another Crab's Treasure.
Hey, that oh, I forgot you got it
Good
on
game.
Steam. For a second,
Good
I almost
game.
thought you almost got it on a
No,
different
I did not.
platform, but no, we both got it on the same
Okay.
system.
What
Okay.
the fuck? What is wrong with me? In July, the only game I played was Sonic Forces.
Remember, you had a weird old fix with this
But
mess, though. Like,
yeah, but I guess I played only one. It was only Sonic Forces. I did not play a single game on Steam in June. I can't remember what I was doing
well,
in
no, no, no,
June.
no, no. No, remember, Steven, late May, I think, is when they released Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. So that might have carried you
Right.
over into June. That's probably what it
Okay.
was.
Probably what you're probably right. August, or there was probably a Splatoon update too that kept me busy. All right, August, I kind of picked back up with a bunch, and I mean a bunch of random games. I was playing a lot of FNAF in August because it was the 10th anniversary. Some other stuff. Dead Rising was in September was Dead Rising and Marvel vs. Capcom. And then October onwards was mostly Rivals of Ether 2.
And for those that don't know, Rivals of Ether is kind of like that Smash clone. But I
It's
think
not
you
a
can
clone.
play. Well, I'm not a clone, but like what do you call that? It's like a
Just not spiritual successor because Smash is still around, but like just a game inspired by Smash. It's the same genre. It's like people don't say that Tekken ripped off Street Fighter. People just
well,
say
no, no,
Tekken
no.
is another
I
fighting
keep
game.
forgetting about the term of it. It's like a not a
A
Smash clone,
platform.
I guess,
It's a
but it's
platform fighter. Platform fighter is the name of the genre.
basically a Smash alike. I'm thinking of
It's a
something I
lot
just
of
can't think of.
inspiration from
Yeah.
Smash. That's all. It's yeah. Can't really coin that term. So
No,
I guess
no. There's some
I,
phrase I don't
fine,
know why
fine.
I'm slipping, but
I guess just call it Smash like because people call
Smash
Souls
like.
like.
Yeah, because
I
like
don't
you
know.
would say the same thing with multiverses. You would say the same thing with Nick All Star Brawl, like
I
those
guess
kind of
so. Yeah.
games. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll give you that. Fine. And it says I played 91% of my playtime was with a controller. Thank God.
I can't with keyboard and mouse. I commend those that do it. I could see the mouse for shooting and stuff, but moving with a keypad, nah.
Yeah, so during that 13-day streak in January, I only played Power World, Pizza Tower, and SA2.
Oh, good gracious.
There you go. That's my entire list. It's very in depth. They show a very in depth list.
I commend you. Within what was it like a handful of minutes, you're able to go through that whole list. Which it seems like Steam has a pretty good way of doing a year in review, considering gosh how big and massive their library is. Like everything from ancient old to modern. So it's pretty good the way how they kind of got that categorized. Was that it for your list?
Basically, yeah. I'm just looking at it. It even shows like, oh, some other friends have shared their Steam replay, so I can look at some of our other friends' Steam replays.
Huh, okay, alrighty. All right. Well, we'll flip it on over from the Steam year in review over here to the PlayStation wrap up, which I know, Steven, for you, well, I think Astrobot was like the only main game you played off of PlayStation. Was that right?
Definitely played
Okay.
Fortnite. Does that can I count that?
No, man, we ain't counting that mess. No, no,
All right,
no.
fine.
But outside of that, for me on Steam, it was another Crab's Treasure. It's not gonna. I ain't got that pulled up. That was the only game I really, for the most part, played on Steam this year. Was just that one game though. So in terms of my PlayStation wrap up, it says I played 21 games, nine short from your Steam side of things, Steve. Though, but 21 games. 20 of them were PS5. One of them was a PS4. What was the one that was a PS4? I'm about to figure that out. But the first game I played that year, at least it has on here, was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Oh shoot, that's a rewind. Like that was all the way back in the month of February when that game came. I still need to finish that game. And the game is good. There was just a lot that released out in that month of February when we'll go back and through like our January year in reviews for like the first half of 2024 and the second half in like two different episodes. There's a lot of crap that went down, and I have to remind all y'all about that. But in terms of my top 5 games that I played, it says I played Persona 3 Reload, and it clocked in at 75 hours. Number two was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at 58 hours. Oh, I see another game slowly creeping up in here. Metaphor Repent Zero is a game I just recently started a couple of weeks ago, I think. It was close to the
Yeah.
beginning of December. And at first on this review, I don't think this thing was like in here because I wasn't clocking a lot of hours up in it. But now I think I'm roughly about 40 hours in the game, but the year in review says 25 hours. So technically it has moved up since then, though. But that's in spot number 3. Visions of Mana was in spot number 4 at 15. I still need to finish that game. I hate when so many good games come out. You can't really give enough time towards certain games, especially if you're an RPGist like myself. I'm like, there's just not enough hours in the day. And at number 5 spot, I have Astro Bot, and it said I played that for about 13 hours, and I didn't 100% the game, but I about unlocked every level in the game outside of getting every bot, which I think unlocks one more level. Is that correct, Steven?
Okay, so getting every bot. Wait.
I'm
Yes,
pretty I'm pretty sure
It
that's it.
unlocks one final challenge that gives you the 301st bot.
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, I done or played every level except for that one. All right, but
And
yeah.
they added a new level. I don't know if you played the new level
Oh,
or
now
did
I
the
hadn't done
speedrun
the
content.
DLC level yet. Maybe that'll be a good. Since it's all winter theme and
You
stuff,
still
that'll just
have.
be a good quick one off just to do in the lead up to Christmas. This is all winter
Yeah,
theme and stuff.
it's very nice.
Let's see. And in terms of my gaming style, it says role player, which I always typically get that
But
characteristic
yeah.
every year because I most of the games I play are RPGs or it's usually those. All right, so in terms of the calendar, it says January was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. for February, top game was Persona 3 Reload. That makes sense. That's a big old RPG. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth dominated the month of March. And that was at 57 hours. I'm looking at April and it says Final Fantasy 16. I was like, wait, I played that game this year? And I did part
Didn't it have
one of the
DLC?
DLC. Yeah, it had DLC that dropped this year. I was like, that goes to prove that this was a long old year, man. Because what was it? Part one, I think, dropped late of 2023. Yeah, I think it was December of 2023. But the
Yeah.
second part dropped in April. So I went and played the first part. I still haven't played the second part. So I gotta it's hard jumping into an older or not an old, well, old in the sense of, it's been a while since you played it. RPG because then you gotta relearn everything though. So I still need to do the Leviathan DLC part though. Um, oh, what the heck? May it says Fallout 4. That was the PS4 game. Look, I only played that game because of the Fallout TV show that released earlier this year. And I was like, let me just try this out because it's on PlayStation Plus. It wasn't like I went out and bought the game. But it was all right. It wasn't my cup of tea, but it was all right. Um, back in June. Wait, I booted up 16 again in June. I don't. Honestly, I can't even remember that. I must have just quickly flashed that on. I don't know. July there was nothing. August was Visions of Mana. September was Astrobot because that was the month that it released. Oh, October Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I still need to put more time into that because at least my goal in that was just to at least unlock every single character. So yeah, that's gonna be like my Splatoon like for PlayStation. Just keep going back in and playing that game. Um, let's see here. November, surprisingly nothing. And then December was Metaphor Refantasy Zero, which that makes sense. That's like my big December game. I'm not playing much of anything else at this point though. Let me see here. What's next? It says like just for you. Thanks for being a PlayStation Plus member. What the freak? I guess it's just trying to promote that. In terms of total hours I put on the PS5, you want to take a guess, Steven?
200.
Oh, actually, you're kind of close. 216. That's actually a pretty good guess. Oh, and it actually has the PlayStation Portal remote player hours, which for me it says I played 7 hours. Now, reminder, I talked about it in the last episode.
You just got it, right?
Yeah, and I just got it. And I had it a week before I did that episode. So I think I like what this is like week number 3 or something like that. And I still like this system. I played it more like trying to do it on the go, like with my hotspot and stuff. The connection isn't really stable. So I figured out, hey, this is mostly a system I just play around in my house. But it's just nice if I just want to play my PS5 in my room, like when I'm about to go to bed or something like that. Like that's when it shines the most, though. But I really liked it. It allowed me to, even though it says 7 hours, I put a lot of time in Metaphor Refantasy Zero because if I'm not playing it on my big TV, I'm usually playing it on the handheld, like right before I go to bed, just clocking some last, a little bit of extra time up in it. So hey, for an RPG, that's when the portability stuff really starts to shine right there because you can fill in those cracks and voids throughout the day and stuff. Let's see here. In terms of trophies, it says I had 180 trophies, and like 157 of them were bronze, and like 18 silver, 4 gold. I really can't give a rat's toenail about trophies. Do you care about trophies, Steven?
Wait, say it again. Sorry, I was
Oh,
cutting
I,
out a bit.
I was saying, do you care about trophies much, or like it's
Um, you get any platinums? That would be
no?
the only ones
I
I
don't
care about.
ever, I don't ever platinum anything.
Well, then there you go.
I feel like that's just bloated. That's just
But
bloated
how
and stuff.
many did you get? How many trophies total did you get? Since I said my achievement,
180.
that's not that bad. That's similar to what I got. But to be
Uh,
fair, you played a lot more games than I did fully. Like I would load up a game and like play it for like a little while.
Yeah. I mean, because some of those bronze are pretty simple though. When I'm done with Metaphor Refantasy Zero, I'm gonna go back and look at the trophies on that one because I'm kind of curious because I'm not usually one to go through and complete every side quest, but the way how that game is structured, it kind of incentivizes you to go out and complete a lot of the side quests. I've been knocking out almost just as much as what has been popping up on there, at least in my playtime. So I'm gonna be curious to see what it says when I'm done with the game now. Um, Let me see here. It says like take a trip, your trophy milestones and stuff. Yeah, I ain't gonna worry about talking about that. Then it talks about some social stats. Ain't too worried about that. And then it talks about like your campaigns and stuff. And then it just kind of gives you the short little wrap up of basically everything I described so far, though. So 21 games played, 180 trophies, 216 hours. Surprisingly, no multiplayer hours. I mean, if I ever play multiplayer on this PlayStation, it usually would be if I play Call of Duty Zombies with Alexis or something. Even then, it's been a hot minute since we done that. But outside of that, that's my wrap up for the PlayStation side of things, though. So it's shabby. I got to remember that. What did I say? 200, a little north of 200 hours on PS5. I'm gonna see how many hours I put in on the Switch because if anything, I think Splatoon might have helped me out with my hours. But we will wait and see. All right, Steven, do you have your Nintendo roundup stuff pulled up here, ready to go?
Yes, I do. But before I say that, I'll just say my PlayStation 1 just Astrobot. Around probably, if I had to make a guess, 20 to 25 hours in Astrobot. It was good. Yeah, I'll move on to the Nintendo one. Alright, so my year in review. I kicked off 2024 with Splatoon 3 on January 1st.
Hey, that seems about right. Because don't they have like oh, and you know what? Since for this one we're both invested in this, so we might as well take each like you talk about one part and then I talk about my other part and then we move down the list though. We can do it like that.
Oh, wait, so, like, I'll say the amount of games I played and then you say it?
Yeah, so it's like yeah, as we keep rolling so like you talked about the first game you
Okay.
played, then I'll say the first one I did. We'll just keep going
Alright,
back and forth.
okay. What's the first game you played this year?
The first one, I don't know how I did this. Surprisingly, I started off with Mario Party Superstars. I'm trying to remember because I
What
wasn't
day?
playing with y'all. I was like, what the heck?
What day
It,
was that?
no, it was January 1st.
Oh, maybe it was at night, yeah, maybe I just played Splatoon first.
I must have played it with
Alright,
my family and stuff because would it be in the
maybe.
holidays and stuff? I
Yeah,
can't
you
remember,
probably had
huh?
family over. You
It
probably
must have
had
been because
family over.
otherwise yours would have probably been the same thing. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, who knows? I yeah, so I this year I played 40 games and total of 420 hours.
think I went up you on that. Well, halfway. 33 games for me, but then I had 515 hours. So I did beat out my PlayStation 1. It would have
Definitely
been weird if it
definitely
would have been
took
the other way
Splatoon.
around. Definitely Splatoon. Yeah, we'll
All
get to
right.
them numbers.
My most played games in 2024, 79 hours in Splatoon 3, mostly because of the updates
Uh,
and like side order and stuff. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door with 43 hours. I did not expect to have that many hours, but that's cuz I kind of took my time. This is a very special game to me.
you definitely put more time into that than me.
Yeah, and then lastly, Super Mario Party Jamboree with 28 hours.
Oh,
Mario and Luigi,
you did put
Mario
quite
and
a bit.
Luigi would have been Mario and Luigi would have been number 3, but I'm taking a break from that game.
Okay. In terms of
Um,
my three, I had Splatoon 3 at the top, 182 hours. What was yours, Steven? How many hours?
in Splatoon 3, I had
Yeah.
79. So yeah, you had about
I,
double
I
the
I
hours.
had double and then some on you. Oof. Second place, ooh, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. Oh, gracious. I'll put 98 hours into that trilogy.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
goodness. That's almost even 30 hours per game, which seems about right because I think there's usually on average about 5 trials in each game. Like the first one, I think only technically had 4 trials and stuff, but it's like it takes about almost 5 hours to do like each trial by the time you get all the way through it. And there was one trial I was blasting through because I didn't really care about it that much. It was in like the third game, and it was like a little bit of a filler arc because I wanted to get to the next big thing though, but I did not know I put that many hours into a visual novel game. Oh shoot. And then in spot number three, I had Nintendo 64 Switch Online app, 40 hours. No other game managed to beat it in the collection of all of that. And I was like, I started thinking, I was like, well, we started off our NSO versus series. That's a little bit, but every now and then the family wants to play like Mario Tennis on the 64 or
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I
I
don't know.
was
I
gonna
guess it
say
just
I don't
slowly
I don't have
accumulated.
40 hours.
Yeah. But now that was it for my top three.
All right, this site is laggy. All right, moving down. Wait, just to make sure. Oh, okay. And it just shows like how much you play these games. I played Paper Mario the most in June. That was really my Paper Mario month. All right. In terms of my gaming style, I played 46% action games. I'm assuming Splatoon counts for that.
I guess.
16% role playing. That was probably Dragon Quest. 13% party makes sense. 12% shooting, Splatoon as well. 7% adventure and 6% board game.
Wait, you didn't have role
I don't
playing
know.
on there?
Well, role play. Yeah, no, role playing was number two.
Oh, number
So
two.
probably
Oh
Paper
my
Mario
gosh,
as well. But
that's
actually,
what it
wait.
is.
You know what? I think Paper Mario might have counted for action as well.
Mhm.
It is action adventure. They usually classify those games as like action adventure slash RPG. All right, month by month.
Oh wait, hold on.
Um.
Let me get my little stats on
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
gaming
yeah.
style
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Mine looks weird. It's like it's the opposite. It feels like I don't know. Action says it was 37%. Shooting was 21. That had to have been Splatoon. Adventure was 16. Simulation was 12. Party was 8. But role playing was down to 6%. And I'm like, wait a minute. Usually that'd be way higher for me. And I'm like,
I think you
the
played them
only
all on
RPG I
PS5.
played this year, I think on Switch, was Dragon Quest 3. I'm trying
Yeah,
to think. Was there? Well, I guess they don't count Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, even though that technically should have count. But I think that's it. I wasn't really playing a lot of RPGs on the Switch. Most of my RPGs were on the PlayStation this year, which, funnily enough, is usually the other way around. But okay. All right, rolling on over to the monthly stuff, Steven.
all right. So I'm not going to go through every single. You know what? No, I will go through every single month. But my most played month was June with 99 hours.
Actually, mine was April with 74 hours.
All right, some of these
Hmm,
surprised me. In January, I played 21 hours of Pokemon Violet. We'll do every single month. We'll
okay.
go one by one. So what was your most played game in January?
Ooh, goodness, stop moving. All right, so January, my most was the Apollo Ace Attorney trilogy,
All right,
and it said 61 hours played. Hmm.
Jesus, there you go. That was most of it right
Well,
there.
no, no, no. Oh, no, no. Never mind. The 61 hours played, I think, is the overall. Well, no, I'm confused
Yes,
because this thing is
it's the
split
one
up into
under the
three.
game.
The
The
one
the
under
thing
the
under
game. Okay, that
the
makes
game.
more sense. 22 hours. Yeah, because I
Okay,
didn't play all three games in 1 month. Yeah.
okay. February for me, I had 12 hours in Splatoon 3. That was most definitely side order. How about you?
February for me was once again Apollo Justice trilogy. 6 hours in that month.
All
Didn't
right.
play a lot in February.
March was actually Nintendo 64's NSO. Only
That
2 hours though.
Mine was the same thing, 64 online, but 6 hours instead of two. I'm trying to think what
Okay.
game came out during that month that had both of us mostly playing it and nothing else. I'm trying to think
Was
what.
this when they was this when they added the GoldenEye? GoldenEye, I think, right?
Oh, did GoldenEye come out this year?
Maybe.
I,
Maybe
I
I
know
don't know.
Perfect.
No,
I know
no.
Perfect Dark came out this year.
I genuinely do not know.
What the
All
heck?
right. Might be wrong about most definitely wrong about that. All right, we're moving on.
All right.
April was Shovel Knight Treasure Trove for me. 3 hours, mostly because I just went through the game again. Felt like it. Very great game, by the way. Shovel Knight is, I think, 10 years old, and it does not feel 10. It feels like a game that just came out still. It's so
Wait, you
good.
played the
Well,
original Shovel Knight in that month?
yeah, well, the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, but it was the
Oh,
original
okay.
campaign.
Hmm. Okay.
Like I have the version with all the content, if that's what you mean. It's basically 4 games in one now.
Okay. That makes sense.
All right, what was your most played for April?
April, it was Splatoon 3. And that came in at like 29 hours. So I get that Splatoon 3 is just usually my go-to game when I ain't got much
When
of
you have
anything else
nothing.
going on. Yeah. That's just
All right,
comfort food at this point.
that's fair. All right. In May, I had 24 hours played total. 15 of that was Thousand Year Door, though. I think I was playing Paper Mario in 64 while waiting for it.
Oh, okay, okay. Because for mine, once again, Splatoon 3, 29 hours.
Yeah,
Oh goodness. Well, I
I
guess
forget.
even though Thousand Year Door came out in May, it wasn't enough time that I was putting in that to trump my Splatoon hours that led up to it,
Yeah,
I guess.
you beat Thousand Year Door, right? I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
trying
I
to
beat
remember.
it. Yeah.
All right. All right, for me, June was Splatoon 3 because I think this is when they dropped the last update with new weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, that had to have been the last major update with weapons. It wasn't the Grand Festival Splatfest, but it was the
No,
last update
no.
with weapons. Yeah.
So what was your most played?
Same thing. Splatoon 3 again with 31 hours. Oh
Yep. All right.
goodness.
All right. July was NES World Championships for me, or however you say that name,
I give you one
with
good guess what I got in July,
16 hours.
Steven.
NES World Championship,
Nope.
Splatoon 3.
Heck yes, boy.
All
18
right.
hours in that one. I remember
All right.
playing a lot of NES World Championships, but it was like get in, get out. I didn't
Yeah, I
put
don't know.
significant hours in it.
August, I played 19 hours of Dragon Quest 11. I need to get back to it. Something's wrong with me.
I was about to say it's hard for me to start a RPG, bounce off of it, and come back to it though. So good luck on that. Ooh. For me in August, it was once again Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. I think that's when I started picking up and playing the second game in the series, and I dumped about 32 hours into that.
All right. And then September for me was when, right after they finally gave us Pizza Tower on Switch, I played 20 hours of Pizza Tower total in September.
Oh, good gracious!
It's not even just because of speedruns. I just like playing the game.
Oh yeah, I mean, what as much time as you put into the Steam version on that, you turned around and bought the Switch version as well and start playing it there. I was like, my goodness.
It's Zard. It feels right at home on Switch. The zany art style, it's literally inspired by Wario Land. There's a reason why this is the first console it got released on.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I'm still wondering. Like, dang, the way how I be talking about my list, it seems like all I be playing is Splatoon because that was my winner for September as well, with 16
Well,
more hours.
that's because of Grand Festival. I didn't play a lot of Grand
Oh,
Festival
you know what? That is
because
true.
I don't know, Splatoon gets fucking boring after. Or Splatoon 3 got boring after a while for me.
I don't know. I'm
So,
just super competitive, so that's just my go-to.
not
All
even
right,
the competitive. It was mostly because every time they do a Splatfest, there was turf war this, turf war that.
mm.
I
All right.
didn't
What
really
about
like
October?
Splatfest. October was Super Mario Party Jamboree with 28 hours played.
Ooh, my goodness. I got something different finally on this bingo card. In October, I had The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom for 13 hours. That was just one of those games. It's like once I started it, I was like, I was just trying to hurry up and finish that mess. But yeah, no, that was a
Oh,
good game.
that's why it doesn't show up. Echoes of Wisdom is separated between September and October for me, so it doesn't show up.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely had at least 20 hours in that game though. Good game. And then lastly, for November, Mario and Luigi Brothership with 27 hours played. It's
Hmm.
gonna stay like that for now.
And then for mine, November, you got to go back to the comfort food. Platoon 3, baby, for 12 hours. My goodness. And it doesn't show anything for your December, does it?
No,
Okay.
because I guess because December's not over.
Yeah.
All right, and here comes the big choice. I chose Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door as my favorite game I played in 2024. But I'll be completely honest. If I'm choosing a new game, a game that isn't a new game is what I'm trying to say. My For some reason my
Uh-huh.
brain don't work. Um, it would probably be either Jamboree or Echoes of Wisdom. I'm gonna go with Echoes of Wisdom because it's a 2D Zelda.
All right, so I had to scroll through mine, and I think my favorite game I might have played on the Switch that released out this year. Oh, I'm kind of torn, Steven. Part of me says The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, But the other part of me says the remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. Because I put so many hours up in that mess, and I pretty
Up to
much
you.
loved every story up in. I don't know. I'm kind of
Whatever was your
torn.
favorite game.
I'm
Just
kind of
pick the one that.
torn. What the freak? Uh, you know what? No, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna say Ace Attorney. I'm gonna say Ace Attorney. Capcom, you're on a roll right now. Gosh dang it, give me my seventh game in this stinking series, though. Oh yeah, they also put out this year the Miles Edgeworth duology and stuff, and I hadn't put enough time into that. I'll slowly get around to it though, but I like how you can play every Ace Attorney game in the whole entire series on the Switch. That just feels nice. And was that it, Steven? I think that's it for the year in review stuff. Mhm. Oh yeah,
All right.
that's basically it for the year end stuff for Nintendo side of things though. So overall, not too shocking, but it just kind of goes to show. Dang, I just played a lot of Splatoon. Oh goodness. Did
Yeah.
yours seem up? Did yours seem just about right?
Yeah, it basically seemed like how I expected. I'm personally just glad that I played a good amount of Mario Party. It felt like I didn't, but that's just because I played a lot of it in October. I gotta play more of it,
Hmm. Okay, okay.
and
Huh.
played more Splatoon than I honestly wished to admit.
Hey, you can't go wrong with Splatoon, man. I'm still trying to work y'all up to where we can at least compete in one tournament. Just the
No,
bros, just to see how far we can go. And
nah,
I will carry the whole entire team, man. I got my
that's
splat
the
lanes
problem.
covering the
That's
back.
the problem. That's why we're not gonna do it.
Oh gosh, come on. I gotta at least compete in some tournaments. I mean, even Nintendo versus, they're doing like this holiday tournament stuff. Like they're doing a Splatoon
Well,
tournament, they're doing a Smash Brothers, and they're doing
well,
Mario Kart.
you can do X rank, or there's servers where people kind of make teams up.
It ain't the same. I want some actual money in my pocket, man.
Yeah, that's fair. I work 6 days a week. You know that I don't have enough time to train in Splatoon.
That's true. That's true. I wish we did. We just need a hyperbolic time chamber. We'll make it happen. All right. Well,
Yeah, I
that
guess so.
that about does it in terms of our year-end review. So now let's go ahead and flip it on over to the holiday traditions. All right, now we're gonna reach this segment where we're just gonna go through and just talk about our favorite holiday traditions and stuff. With it being the month of December, everybody's in a little bit more of a merry mood. I would say for the most part though, work has been, challenging me just a few times out of this week. Gosh dang it. A lot of people trying to ship a whole bunch of packages and stuff, and I wasn't having it on a couple of days this week though. But outside of that, everything else has been jolly and happy and stuff though. So what should we start with first, Steven? Like favorite Christmas movies, the music, the food. We'll say game
You know what?
memories last. Oh, between them
Let's
three.
let's start favorite songs, favorite
Favorite
Christmas songs.
song? Okay. Oh man.
For
Yeah,
me, I don't think you can go wrong with, Jingle Bell Rock. Uh, Carol of the Bells is a good. Was it, yeah? Is it yeah? Carol of the Bell. I don't know. Whatever
Carol of
it's
the
called.
Bells. Yeah, no, you had it
Yeah, I
right.
was trying to remember the name of the song. There's the really like epic one that keeps playing at my job, like the rock one.
Oh, the one that goes like
Yeah, that one's badass. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I love
Yeah.
that one. That's definitely an easy top three one. Because I remember
Very
going to like a theme park. It's called Silver Dollar City over in like Branson or whatever, and they have like a holiday spectacular thing, like lighting up Christmas trees and stuff. They play that one song there though.
yeah.
Man, you can't go wrong with that.
No, when that plays in my job, I swear I gotta work at double speed or else I'm not giving the song enough credit.
Oh
It's
goodness.
very, very good. And also, yeah, Jingle Bell Rock, oh, the song, the dreaded "All I Want for Christmas Is You."
Gosh dang it.
She's,
You know what? I
she's
think that
melting
one
at
is
the
the
ice.
You know how like you have your traditional Jingle Bells, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like the instant classics? It's
Yeah, they're
crazy
all good.
how Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas." It's on that level now because sometimes when people, as soon as we roll from like Halloween, October 31st, and we move straight over to November 1st, a lot of people instantly think about that song. The second
Yeah,
they hear that, that opens up the floodgates for everything else Christmas related, and it's usually the last
yeah,
thing people will hear before throwing it back in the vault.
and it doesn't play enough at my job, but the song from A Year Without a Santa Claus, the Snow and Heat Miser songs, are always the
Oh, you
main
can't go
one.
wrong with that either. My brother
Always,
always likes watching those little what is it, claymations things or whatever though.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
stop motion.
stop
I'm gonna
motion, that's what it is.
definitely,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely gonna watch it at least once before the year ends.
Yeah, so you can't go wrong with those. Let me see. In terms of my favorite songs, I guess it's called Wonderful Christmas Time, the one that goes like simply having a wonderful
Yes,
Christmas time. I
all
was
day at work.
Oh man, I love that one. I always associate that one. It's like a different Rudolph. It's not the classic Rudolph with like the stop motion, but it was like one that released like on VHS in like the early 2000s or something. And Rudolph Shiny New Year. No, no, not. Oh, why did I say New Year? I don't know what the movie was particularly called outside of just standard Rudolph, but it's the one that looks different. It's like animated or something like that, though. Somebody might be able to
The old
recognize
one's
based on what I'm
animated.
saying it, but it was like a um, gosh, there was like a witch that was like white, blue lipstick or whatever though, and she didn't want nobody crossing her bridge. If you know the movie based on what I said right there, then you know exactly what I'm
I
talking
don't.
about.
I was thinking, was it like Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July? No,
No,
right?
no, 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 no. It's not that. No, I don't even think you might have saw this movie. I I
Why
doubt it.
not?
I had to send you a picture of it, and then you will know whether or not if you've seen it or not. Um, so outside of that one song, you took my Carol of the Bells. Um, goodness. One of those people is like, I can't go wrong with mostly anything. It's funny how you said Jingle Bell Rock because I don't think I heard that one before. Oh, 12 Days of Christmas. You can't go wrong with 12 Days of Christmas.
Yes, you fucking
What
can.
are you
Well,
talking about? What are you
It's
talking about?
it's just so long.
No, hold on. Hey, you
Listen,
probably talking
if
about
I
that.
go, all right,
You
if
probably
I
talking about that classic version.
listen, okay, all I'm gonna, yeah, maybe, but listen, all I know is that if I walk into my job and I hear five golden rings for a fucking 12th time, I'm going to shoot myself.
Man,
It's
Steven, come on now. You got to switch it up. There's different variants of the 12 Days of Christmas. Like, for example, have you heard the
yeah,
Shrek's 12 Days of Christmas? Have you
no,
heard that
no, I
version?
am not. Yes, but like no, but just when you say 12 Days of Christmas, I just think of the original. But no, oh my god,
No,
this
because
is
like
Shrek.
I'm trying to
Actually
think of
sounds
like what
funny.
was it? It's like instead of five golden rings, it's like five onion rings, four exploding birds, three little pigs, two blind mice or something like that, and a fire breathing dragon just for me. And, there's more
Probably
verses for
Donkey
it though,
singing
but
it.
huh?
I'm assuming it's Donkey singing it.
No, it's like the whole crew, like, all
Okay.
of those people and stuff. Look it up, and then you'll find it on YouTube or anybody else
I
watching this mess though.
I will
It's
look
a
for
nice
it
little
after
twist.
this.
It's a nice little twist. You might like it better than the tradition. I can't stand a traditional one either though, but I like the different variants you can hear out there. Like the Muppets, I think has like a 12 Days of Christmas as well, and I like that one too. Um, Let me see here. What else? You can't go wrong with the Grinch. You're a mean
It's
one,
well, yeah, the
Mr.
original.
Grinch.
We're talking about the original, right? It has to be.
Yeah, yeah. Or what were you thinking of? The Jim Carrey one from the movie?
That one's okay. The one from the 2018 Grinch, that's bad.
Oh gosh, I wasn't even thinking about that one.
It played a lot at my job last year, and
Mm,
I haven't heard it yet, but it's coming.
okay. Um, Outside of that, it's weird. I'm not thinking of many songs as of the moment though, but it's like you mentioned a good list of them though, and I really can't go wrong with mostly anything. I'm trying to think if there was like one I hate. I don't think I necessarily hate any Christmas song. I'll probably leave it at that though. But no, there's a lot of good ones out there. A lot of good ones for sure. Let's see here. So we got the songs out of the way. What about the movies? What are your favorite Christmas movies, Steven?
There's a lot of picks. You know, there's
We'll
Elf.
rotate back and forth. We'll rotate back and forth because I
All
know
right,
we're gonna wind up stealing each other's.
let's go. Okay, well, okay. In that case, I'm stealing Home Alone first.
Gosh dang it. Okay. What keeps you coming back and watching Home Alone? Because that one is a classic. And you're
It's
talking
just
about
the
the first one, right? Not the second one.
yeah. Well, the second one's great as well, but like the first one especially, it just has so many unique parts to it. Like I love the two, I love the two wet bandits, or is it Harry and Marv, I think. They're just great like bumbling idiots, but also, they're like threatening at first and then, slowly they get more and more wacky as the film goes on. I just like it feels very classic, but like, it feels very sincere. Like Kevin, the kid that plays Kevin, Macaulay Culkin, he's a great actor in the movie. Like he
Man,
acts exactly. He's one of the best child actors I've ever seen. Just he feels like an actual kid and like acts like how a
for the most
little
part.
brat would.
For the most, or at least during that time. The part that
Yeah,
always cracks me up about that one movie is whenever he's trying to scare the wet bandits and he plays that old
in the
cartoon or what
movie.
well not even a cartoon, but an old movie or whatever, the black and white film.
Yeah, that
And the dude's
that
like,
part's
I
always
give you
good.
to the count of 10 before I blow your hairy quiche or something off my lawn. Like 1, 10.
Yeah,
I was like, this part gets me every time.
yeah. 1, 2, 10.
Oh my goodness.
It's really good because it's like they kind of set it up. They do use it twice. Well, no, no, it's the rule of threes. He watches it by himself and gets scared. He uses it on the pizza guy, and then he uses it on them.
Yeah.
Like they set up things very well in this movie to use them later, especially like the neighbor that he's scared of at first.
Hmm.
Help saves him in the end. The movie is just very timeless as well. Everything in the movie just feels you can go back to this movie anytime and it feels the exact same cozy feeling. The music is really good. The jokes are pretty funny for the most part. The couple that are there, and yeah, just it just really brings you back to a good time where like being home alone is something that like a kid would want. A kid would want the whole house to themselves, and then you realize how scary that is in
Hmm.
practice.
I'm trying to.
And this movie, it's the closest I've ever seen to like a slapstick comedy in live action.
Yeah, because I mean,
Uh,
for the most part, I feel like most movies, like new ones nowadays, it's like, the classics always get you to laugh, or there's something that you might notice about it that you didn't notice in your previous runs when you watch it, though, and that's what a good Christmas movie usually does. And a lot of these newer ones, there's a few that manage to hit that spark, but not as many, and hence why we keep going back and watching these classics. Um, what was it? So you talked about Home Alone. I'm gonna throw out there National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation because I think that's like my absolute number one. It's
it's a
in like
great
one
one.
of the top 3 movies I have to watch every single year. But no, that one's an instant classic with Cousin Eddie and all of them know. And then you have like all these other family members showing up and stuff, just causing chaos and stuff though. The dude envision Oh gosh. Every time I hear I didn't even think about this Christmas song, the one that goes like is the ones when on them run on Christmas Day. Or
Yeah,
what however that one that goes. Every time I hear that song, I always think back to that movie where the dude was like plastered himself up against the window and stuff, and he envisioned having his built-in swimming pool as part of his Christmas bonus that he was supposed to get. And I always think about that one woman and stuff like almost halfway like getting undressed or something like that, jumping in that pool. Oh man, that movie has so many great funny moments and stuff. Everything from like the dried out turkey and stuff, and then cousin Eddie like tying up the boss and stuff, and like bringing him back and stuff, or like him just randomly dropping his sewage stuff that you would drop from a camper, but he dropped it in the sewer. You're never supposed to do that, man. So, and the dude that lit the match near it and blew it up, or the squirrel that was out of the tree, which funnily enough, like one year my family actually had like mice in our tree, so I can actually relate to that to a small degree, though. Oh gosh, but yeah, no, instant classic right there. You watched that
yeah.
one before, right, Steven?
Yes, I haven't watched it in a while, but I can never forget the scene with the lights.
Oh goodness, man. Watch that one again, Steven, because if it's been a while for you, you probably get another good laugh out of it again. All right, what's your choice number two?
Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2. Okay. You know what? I don't even I've mostly always
Um,
watched the first one. I can't hardly remember the second one to be honest.
I think Home Alone 2, where it lacks in like the relatability of the situation and like the kind of timeless nature, because they're in New York. Things, there's a lot more going on in that movie that has changed. Where it lacks in like the timeless nature, really, it makes up for it in, I'd say, a more emotional core and a better like second and third act, like the actual traps and stuff. This movie kind of dials it up to 11 when it comes to the traps. He's throwing bricks at them. There's I'm trying to remember some of the other stuff he does. They are vile. Let me really quickly just make sure. Like, I'm gonna look it up quick. The traps in Home Alone 2. I know
Yeah,
one
no,
of them is him just throwing. One of them is just throwing the brick.
I
There's
remember that part for sure. And I'm like, dude, that dude should have been like conked out dead. Like, I don't understand how he got back up from that. And that's how you know it's a movie. Because if I got hit square in the head with a brick from someone dropping it from like what was it, like the second story or something? You would have
yeah.
been out cold.
Yeah, there was the shelf of paint cans that falls on Marv. There was just the hole in the house, like the giant
Oh
hole in the
gosh,
floor that Marv just falls in.
man.
There's the whole thing about either like, oh, I'm not gonna answer the doorknob again.
Oh yeah, because he heated it up or something and burned his hand or
Yeah, and
something
it,
like
and it,
that.
and then in the second movie, he basically completely turns that on his head. Then there's cement mix. Yeah, there's a rope with a bag of cement mix connected to it. And
Oh,
the bag of cement mix in real life would easily crush his skull, but in the movie he just gets powder on
I
him.
mean, like what? Well, I mean, each bag is like 60 or 80 pounds. So I don't know how many they dropped up on the dude, or sometimes 50 pounds.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. There's the rope being soaked with kerosene when they're climbing
Oh, I
up.
remember that one. He's like, they were either climbing up
Yeah,
or climbing down. And it's like, wait, go back the other way. I was like, doggone it, man. Like that rope should have just burned clean through and y'all should have just fell instantly. Like, like one of them old cartoons. But
there's so many good ones. Obviously,
hmm.
um, there's I think one of the funniest ones is Marv being electrocuted, and you literally see his skeleton for a second. But
Actually, I need
also,
to
there's
watch that one again
yeah,
because I think pranks
yeah,
on that one are a lot funnier than I think in the first movie. But the first movie, I
yeah.
felt like
That's
had an
that's
overall greater punch.
Yeah, it has a greater punch. I just think, everything, like, I like the set pieces and the locations more where all the funny things happen in Home Alone 2.
Mm,
For example, I think the toy store has, like, I like the whole thing about Kevin, like, feeling bad for the toy store owner, trying to help him out because, that's the whole plot, is that they're trying to steal from the toy store, the Wet Bandits, on Christmas.
mm,
So he kind of tries his best to, like, defend from them. And the everything with the hotel, when he's staying in the Plaza Hotel, and all of the employees are, for giving him like the best service, and he's like sitting in the hotel room eating all this expensive food, maxing out his dad's credit card.
Oh yeah.
And then he uses, they're all trying to get into his room because they think that, like, he's like a criminal. He's like using his credit card fraud. And then he used the same movie on TV to trick them, like he did in the first movie. Merry Christmas, yeah, filthy animal, and a Happy New Year.
I always love that little quote. You filthy animal. Oh, man, I wish
I
I
love
could.
Home Alone too. There's just a lot of good stuff in it. I'd say it's just as good as the first one. It's worse at some things, better at others.
Okay. If I had to choose a second one, gotta go with a classic. The Grinch. I hadn't seen it this season yet. I'm planning on watching it. Honestly, it might be within the next 2 days or something from the time we're recording this, though. But you can't go wrong with the Jim Carrey's Grinch and stuff. Like, no, I ain't talking about that most recent Grinch. That thing is like an atrocious. I watched it one time. I was like, that ain't for me though. But the Jim Carrey one's a classic one, and you always have to keep coming back to that one though. So I'm like, yeah, there's some kind of feeling about that first movie where it's like, yeah, you definitely gotta enjoy that one.
Yeah, the Jim Carrey one is just so fucking funny.
Yeah, and I'm trying to
Uh,
think. What was it? I mean, there's a lot of great funny moments up in there though. But I think it's just Jim Carrey and the way how he acts and stuff. He just sells the whole entire movie up on that. Trying to think, was there like a favorite scene in that movie? It's hard to pick a favorite. There's a lot of good ones.
I
Like, you have a
think I
favorite
don't know. Out
scene?
of all the scenes in that movie, I like when he's in the Jim Carrey one, right?
Yeah.
I like when he's competing in all like the Who games when they call him down to be like, was it the Holiday Cheermeister or whatever? The
Oh yeah,
little
yeah,
girl,
yeah.
and he's like playing all these games, like the one where he's jumping in the stop the sock, and he's just being an absolute menace.
Oh.
You know, he's like having a fun time, and then the mayor decides to be an asshole and makes fun of him.
Oh shoot, makes fun of him and it's like, man, he's like, man, what was it? He said something like, man, what a hack job. Like he
Yeah,
had to shave
yeah,
when he was like what, 8 years old? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. He was a victim of bullying.
Oh goodness.
And
Oh
then at the
man.
end, at the end, the Grinch gets a lady.
I'm
Good for
just
him.
saying. Hey, he still got the girl and the dude got nothing. And the other dude got nothing. All right, Steven, one more favorite, and then we're just gonna blast through just our favorites as titles,
There's,
but we
I know.
go in depth one more.
All right. One more that I want to go in depth on. Definitely Polar Express. Polar
What the
Express has been.
heck? Oh man, forget no, we're skipping that. Okay, go
What's
on.
wrong with Polar
That
Express?
one's long and drawn out, and I feel like everybody's like has mixed feelings upon that one. You either love it
Long,
or you hate it. There ain't a lot of in
long and
between.
drawn out. Fine, fine, but we're just gonna put it on
No,
the
no, no.
record that I love Polar Express. I'll
Okay.
talk about another one that I guarantee you haven't seen. So, Violent Night is an R-rated Christmas movie from
Oh heck no.
2022.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one.
It has David Harbour, who plays Red Guardian. You know him from the MCU. Uh, it has it has John Leguizamo, who played Luigi in the original Mario movie as the villain.
Violent
And
night.
literally, really, all you need to know about this movie, Zard, is that it's John Wick mixed with a Christmas movie.
Hmm.
It's Santa Claus infiltrating a house that's being held hostage and saving all the people in it to save Christmas.
Okay. Hmm.
I genuinely think it's a really entertaining movie. Maybe I'll show it to you one day.
Was it a funny movie or like kind of just all
No,
seriousness?
no, it is not all serious. It has its funny
Oh, okay.
moments. Like the whole time, the whole time, like the main characters are basically Santa and like this girl she talks to on the walkie-talkie. Santa's trying to be as kid-friendly as possible while murdering people.
Oh gosh. Okay. That's one extreme to the other. All right.
No,
Uh
that's why I like it, but it still has that emotional core once you watch it. I think we should watch it one day.
oh brother. All righty. Um let's see. After that Polar Express burn, the last big classic one I think I have to watch every year is Elf. Like, with the dude who acts up in that, like there's just no way. Man, every time that dude says, "Man, he must be an angry elf," or "Man, he must be a South Pole elf." That whole scene when he's talking to that short dude gets me every single time now. And there's just some good moments up in there. A lot of great life stories and stuff you can take away from that movie though. But like I don't know how that dude went a good chunk of his life not knowing that he wasn't an elf. Like the dude was like a beanstalk compared to the other elves and stuff that were working there and stuff though. But overall, that was a great classic one. My family always loves watching that one, particularly my sister. I think that's like one of her favorite ones though. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it mostly for the absolute go-to movies for both of us. Now we're just gonna rapid fire just different movies and just not
Uh,
talk about them, but just mention the name. All right, you Steven. We'll just rotate back and forth.
uh, Klaus, like Klaus from 2019.
Else from
I'm just
2019.
gonna say Klaus, like
Okay,
Santa Claus. So it's from
okay.
2019. It was on Netflix. It is a animated movie, like, but it looks 2D, but it's actually 3D. It is a beautiful movie with an even better story. It's a great cast. It's got J.K. Simmons as Santa. So really, all I need to say.
All right, I'm gonna wrap all of these up into one big thing. All of those stop motion movies, like The Year Without Santa, Rudolph
Rankin
Shiny New
Bass.
Year's, Rudolph, Frosty the Snowman, and stuff like that. The Christmas in July. I said Rudolph Shiny New Year, right? I think so.
Yeah,
The Year Without
they're
Santa
all
Claus, I think, was the one with the heat mines or snow mines and all of that. All of that
yes,
stuff.
it
We'll
is.
lump it all into one.
Yes, so though yeah, those movies are made by Rankin Bass, and something I think is really funny. I'll just say this real quick. Apparently, those movies, the reason why it's Rudolph is used so commonly in like the public domain, and like it's not really copyrighted at all, is because of an issue with the copyright in the original movie. Like
Oh,
there was
I
a
did not
there
know
was a
that.
type there was a typo in the copyright info, and that apparently caused a whole big issue on who owns Rudolph and like all of that stuff.
Hmm,
It's
okay.
it's very interesting. I don't know. Besides that, all old movies, all great ones, they're all timeless, and the animation style makes it just kind of irreplaceable. I agree.
All right. Hit me with another one, Steven.
All right, Arthur Christmas. You ever watch Arthur Christmas?
No, I
An
don't know about
animated
that
movie
one.
from 2011. It's basically kind of about like the Santa legacy, like like you have Santa and you have his like his family, his son that's like gonna be the new Santa one day
Hmm.
type of deal. I think it's a very I all I could say is that you should watch it. It kind of takes a more realistic take on how Christmas would actually be done in the real world. Like,
Okay.
how all of the presents get delivered all in one night. It's
Hmm.
like a whole it's like a whole machine. Like it's a giant like operation that has to be done. And the whole plot of the movie is that they need to get a they got to get a misplaced present back to a young girl in less than 2 hours on Christmas Day.
All right. Let me see here.
There-
Since you
There's
were talking
really
a bit, let
yeah.
me spit fire just three real quick. You can't go
Uh,
wrong with Santa Claus, like the Santa Claus, like the first movie, the second movie, and the third movie. You
oh
can't go
yeah.
wrong with all of them. I'll throw out Candy Cane Lane. And oh gosh, A Christmas Story is that one movie that plays nonstop on one of those Christmas channel things the whole entire day of Christmas Day. The dude that literally, the mom was like, "Hey, you can't shoot that gun. You shoot your eye out or something like that." Though, I threw out three. Give me another three, Steven.
Uh, Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm giving as an honorable mention. Okay.
Uh,
I've did we mention Elf yet?
I said Elf was like my number three major pick.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure because we've mentioned a lot now. Actually, we've mentioned a lot of the big ones. There's obviously back in the day you had a Christmas Carol. That's a classic.
Oh, there's so many different versions of A
It's a
Christmas
Wonderful Life.
Carol. Oh my goodness.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard a lot of people say it's really stupid. There's this new movie called The Red One with Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans. It's like an
You know
action
what? I
movie.
was Googling this and I just saw that pop up. Wait, where can you watch that at?
It's on Prime Video. Apparently bombed really badly,
I
and
saw
that's
it
why
was
it's
at
on
like
Prime Video.
30%. And I was like, wait, why is there a polar bear in the rock? I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it didn't do good. Let's just say that.
Oh goodness. But it has the rock in it, so I'm kind of curious to see how that turned out. But okay. Yeah. I think we mostly cover most of the good ones up in here. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to make sure there wasn't like anything we were just missing.
forgetting.
Yeah.
There's a I don't know. It's really hard because
Oh,
there's a lot of
there was a new one that was called Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy. I actually like that one. I feel like that one's really
I've
good.
not seen that. There's a lot of movies that like I'd consider. Like, well, I wouldn't consider them Christmas movies. For example, I haven't watched it, but everyone considers Die Hard a Christmas
You
movie.
know what?
I don't.
You know what? I heard that too. You can't go wrong with Die Hard either. I'm just
I haven't
saying.
watched it. I definitely got to get to that. And then yeah, like there's so many Christmas specials of so many shows that I can't get into all of them
Oh,
here.
like grandma got ran over by a reindeer, stuff like that. Yeah.
Why there's been Christmas episodes of shows. I forget, Zard. Have you ever watched a regular show on Cartoon Network?
I watched it. I mean, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I watched it. Why?
The Christmas specials in a regular show are so
Oh,
damn funny.
and you know what? We were talking about Christmas specials and stuff. Like, you got to talk about like the SpongeBob ones, like the one that was the
Yes,
claymation and the one that was
animated.
just a
Yeah,
regular animated one. Both of
Uh,
those two is like, yeah, those are good.
very special Christmas for me, or either that. The first one was great,
Mm, 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 mm.
and then
Oh,
the
you got
second
my
one's
mic
the
picked that up.
second. But yeah, the second one's also really nicely animated, and the song's not as good, but it's still a nice episode.
Mm,
I think they did another one after that. I don't know, but they always do great. So much good Christmas stuff. Always got a lot of those nice Christmas movies.
yeah. All right. Well, I think we probably, hopefully, we cover most of y'all that are listening to this. One of y'all's favorites out there. We threw a lot of good ones out there, but we'll add us in the comments or whatever though if we happen to miss one though. What about food, Steven? Like, what's your good holiday tradition go-to food?
I got about 100 candy canes in a box sitting next to me.
Are they like actual candy canes, like
Mini
like the
ones. They're
traditional
small ones.
peppermint ones?
They are peppermint, but they're like they're mini candy canes.
Mm. I'm not much of a peppermint fan. I used to eat a lot of peppermints like right before taking the test in college because some of those tests were like, "Woo."
Oh yeah,
But
they gave them out.
yeah, but outside of that, I don't really like candy canes unless I actually had like a Jolly Rancher flavored one recently. Whenever I was at like a Christmas party and they had like one of their activities with a candy cane or something like that. And I was like, I did not know they made that. But if I'm eating Jolly Rancher flavored candy canes, sign me up. I'll eat all of them suckers up. I like myself some Jolly Ranchers. Um, for me, it's always a holiday tradition, at least in my family, to make fudge, like peanut butter fudge, or sometimes we'll get experimental. We made like Oreo fudge and stuff like that. That's a go to for us at least. Trying to
Yeah.
think. Outside of that, I mean, sometimes, typically we always would meet at our grandma's house, and we would usually open up gifts on Christmas Eve. It's like it'll be like my family, and then it would be my uncle's family, and then my other aunt's family. So it's like all the uncle and aunts, your parents, grandparents, and then all your cousins and your siblings. So that kind of general extended family and stuff. Like we're doing all of that at my grandma's house and stuff. And she typically always makes like this holiday punch where it's like green sherbet, but mixed in with like Sprite and ginger ale. So it's kind of like one of them
Huh.
kind of drinks. And I'm like, oh man, I always love that mess. And I usually only get to have it once a year when they do it because gosh dang, it's hard finding like lime sherbet anywhere nowadays though. But yeah, Steven, you're
Now,
looking for a good punch idea. That's a good one right there.
maybe.
Any other stuff? Well, besides the general like making cookies, sugar cookies on Christmas Eve and putting frosting on them, like was there anything else that you typically like to do?
Honestly, not really.
Mm.
I just like to enjoy the stuff I get in my stockings. There was this one time. I don't know why they sell this. I got it was a ball of Coca-Cola.
Ball of Coca Cola?
A glass bottle of Coke, a glass ball of Coca-Cola.
Wait, a glass ball? It wasn't like a traditional bottle?
No,
Hmm.
like an ornament. I think it was supposed to be like styled after an
Oh,
ornament.
okay. I see you. Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, honestly.
I'm just
But I
surprised
got
that you were able to get. Well, actually, no, I don't find that funny because as much as you you drinking soda, or at least you used to, that makes perfect sense to me, honestly.
there's also like they sell like the giant Hershey kisses. There's a lot
Ooh,
of funny stuff.
You know what? Every year when I dive into my stocking, and I usually get those, what was it, the Hershey's cookie and cream bar. I typically will usually get that from my mom, and like she'll sometimes get like the big old size one. But we're not talking about the traditional candy bar. We're talking about like the super size one, and that sucker would be taking me at least 2 or 3 days for me to go through and eat all of that. I'm like, oh man, I always love that flavor. Oh man, you can't go wrong with that. But yeah, I think that about does in terms of most of our sweet stuff, traditions, and stuff like that. So, lastly, Stephen, in terms of holiday traditions, just give me one. And I don't know if you're gonna wind up saying the same thing as what we might have mentioned last year, though. But one gaming related holiday memory that you can recall upon.
Gaming related holiday memory. Okay, I got one.
All
I
right, go ahead and
remember.
spill it.
I don't know if it's a sketchy memory. I remember going to my Christmas tree and I either got, I forget if it was either the Wii itself or I got Mario Kart Wii. I think I got the Wii with Mario Kart Wii. And like it was it was so great. It was like one of the happiest times to be a Nintendo fan, obviously, for me. It was my first actual Nintendo system that I owned. I played Game Boy, played GameCube, because my family kind of brought it over sometimes. But the Wii was the first system that I actually owned. Mario Kart Wii is my childhood game. I love Mario Kart Wii. I was able to, I had a backwards compatible one, so I was able to play GameCube discs in it. That's how I got introduced to Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, my actual favorite game of all time.
Hmm.
It was just such a magical time, unlocking all of the unlockable characters in Mario Kart Wii. Getting I found out about Virtual Console because of this damn system. I found about I found out about how many classic games and started my appreciation for Nintendo through this goddamn system.
Well,
It
since
was
you're
so
already
great.
on that Wii fix, I'll go ahead and share some memories within the Wii. I was almost leaning on DS, but I'll say that for another time. I remember, I think when the Wii came out, felt like my parents might have got it on the release year because in terms like I remember opening that underneath the tree and I was like, wait, what? Because I think when I got the Nintendo Wii, the only other Nintendo consoles we had, or gaming consoles just in general, that we had at that time was the NES and the Nintendo 64. And those were like the first consoles I grew up with and the only two we had. Like we were always bouncing back and forth. So in the meantime, since I was like a kid and I had those systems, the GameCube has came and went. I guess my dad never owned a Super Nintendo, so I never experienced any of those games though. So we jumped from like NES 64 all the way up straight up to the Wii. And then I remember seeing that and I was like, whoa, I was like, this is weird. It's like I was used to like the buttons and stuff on the 64 controller, but the fact that you were able to use like a Wii remote and nunchuk and be able to wirelessly move it around and stuff, I was like, what the heck? So obviously, like the go-to game was like Wii Sports and stuff. Like that was like the debut game that everybody and their mama had, and I was like, oh man, that was just so interesting. Like I think Mario Tennis we went so hard up on that mess, just playing Mario Tennis and stuff. And that was a cool thing because like not only my family had it, turn around like my aunt's family had it, my uncle's family had it as well. So anytime I go over to their houses and play with my other cousins and stuff, everybody had that was the one gaming system that everybody and their mama knew about in comparison to like something like a Switch or something where it's like a good people might know that, but not everybody. It felt like everybody did know how to play a Wii. I mean, shoot, you had like elderly people playing it and stuff though. So I remember having like
Yeah.
Wii Sports tournaments and stuff like that, and us trying to do crazy stuff like that. And man, my family threw down on like some boxing and stuff though, like plugging up the nunchucks and stuff. Like we almost halfway knocked out the TV a couple of times though. Like we got
I
personal, like we started shoving, bumping up against each other. We were like, "Get down, sucker!" Like it was like the closest thing that gave me a Punch Out vibe, and I was like, "Dang, I wish they would give me another Punch Out." I didn't know about Punch Out Wii at the time.
To this day, I still play Wii bowling every time I see my cousins.
Really?
Yeah, I either bring my Wii, set it up or figure out how to get it set up on my Wii U or whatever, I always play Wii Sports with them.
No,
The
that's an
Wii,
interesting tradition right there.
the
You hadn't
Wii is just
tried the
magical.
Switch Sports version of bowling.
It's not good. The motion controls suck, and
Okay,
it just
you're
feels so much
well.
cheaper.
I think it's just because there's no IR sensor. Which
So
Nintendo,
they suck.
if you bring back the Switch or not the Switch, if you bring back Wii as part of like NSO, this sell the attachment for the IR sensor and let that be like a USB plug that plugs into the dock, and
Yeah,
then
just make
sell
a
the
USB sensor bar.
and then sell the actual Wii remotes just like how you sold NES, Super Nintendo 64 controllers. I will pay for
Well,
all of that stuff and I'll be content with it.
that's completely fair, but I'm pretty sure the Wii remotes were Bluetooth,
Well, and
so
that
they could
is,
just work.
I guess they technically. I don't know. We'll see how they will want to. I mean, technically,
It's the
that's true. It should,
it's
but
the same way that old GameCube controllers work with GameCube adapters they released recently.
yeah. But I mean, that is also because they had the physical port, though. I guess technically, as long as they got the little software up in the Bluetooth stuff, but just have it recognize and say, hey, it might not be the quickest boot up connection with a Wii remote because think about it with Wii remotes when you sync them you technically have to hit the sync button on the back of the remote and then hit the sync button on the Wii. There's not necessarily going to be a sync button on that Switch to get it the first time connect. You see what I'm saying? So there have to be like an
Yeah,
open way to Bluetooth it. And I don't know if your classic Wii remote is good on that. I don't know. There might be a way to make it work around, but even if so, they have to release new controllers. To think about it, I don't want to pop out batteries every time, Steven. The new ones will be rechargeable, so that would be better. But yeah, honestly, there's some good fond memories I have with the Wii, especially around the holiday season and stuff. Like even having the new Super Mario Brothers Wii released for the first time and being able to play that with my two other siblings. Because you know, at the time, we always play 2D Mario, but you have to rotate between different people playing, like on the new Super Mario Brothers on the DS or original Mario Brothers on the NES and stuff. Though, but being able to do that on the Wii with up to four people playing at the same time there was some magic up in that before, we got the rinse wash and repeat with like Super Mario Brothers 3DS and also the one that we got on Wii U though. But, fun times with the Wii. Fun times.
great times.
All right, so with all of that out of the way, I think that's gonna about do it in terms of most of our holiday traditions. So now let's go ahead and swing it over to the very last topic of tonight, or I guess the day that you listen to this podcast, that being all these Nintendo Switch 2 rumors.
The floodgates have opened. We're in.
What the heck? I honestly I'm looking at all this mess and I'm like, gosh dang it. Because honestly, I wanted to report on some things here and there. Some things I could kind of throw off to the side as just like a random 4chan or something like that, Reddit post or whatever though. But I even saw, and I don't know if you saw this, Steven, though, but there was like somebody with I think a dummy switch and they actually had
Yes.
the Joy-Con stuff, and they actually like magnetized to the side of it and stuff. I can tell there's not like the guts of it, like the screen's not up in there. All of the stuff that should be within the Joy-Con. So it's mostly like the shell, like the plastic framing, but all the guts is stripped out of it though, except for the fact that it had the magnets up in there. Which I was like, okay. Once I started seeing that, I was like, okay, it's kind of hard to make something up like that. I guess you could 3D model all of that mess, but
No.
that'd be a lot
Apparently,
of dedication for that.
apparently the model kit um that leaked. Well, like that's a model kit that accessory manufacturers were using just to have actual in-hand dimensions for it
Hmm.
for testing, which makes sense.
Yeah, because a lot of these companies they want to get ahead of the gates, at least with all of the cases, accessories, screen protectors, all that stuff you normally would see on day one. And I feel like even more people are trying to jump on the bit with that with the launch of Switch 2, considering how the success for the original Nintendo Switch though. So we've seen a lot of rumors go out for this thing though. And I think the biggest talk of the town has been that C button that's below the home button on the right Joy-Con and stuff. And honestly, I've been kind of wrapping my mind around that where I'm like, I don't know what that button could be used for. I mean, could it be a camera button? But then we would have had. I mean, we almost know everything what the Switch looks like from the exterior, so we probably would have heard or saw something with actual camera lens looking like that. So I'm like, would that be a capture related thing? Like, um like, with PlayStation, like, their share button, like, if you hold it long, it does a screenshot, or you tap it, and then you can say, "Save
Yeah.
my last minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes." Imagine if the left button is just a standard screenshot button, but then that bottom right button, the capture one, it actually captures your video. Like, it
Well,
remembers, like, X amount of minutes and stuff that happened prior to you pressing that button, or would it let you just start recording it for a period of time? I don't know. I can't
so
think of
yeah,
anything
but
else.
here's the thing. No, there's a lot of stuff, Zard. It's it's just a C button. We don't know if it's capture. If it was capture or something, like they would have put another like symbol there. The fact that it's just a C makes me think that like that C needs is going to be important. Like there's a couple different things that people have said. People have said it's a chat button, like you pull that up and it shows like your friends, it shows like anything that they've messaged to you, shows invites. Basically kind of like when you press the PlayStation button while you're in a game.
Mhm.
Look at all that info about your games, chat menu, all that. The other thing that people have said is that it could mean connect or cast. Basic basically
Oh,
the main theory is that you'd have your Switch in handheld and you'd be able to cast it to the TV while it's still in handheld, allowing you to have dual screens for your DS, 3DS, Wii U needs.
now that would be beautiful for the NSO services. So that would make something like a DS, a 3DS, or Wii U NSO apps. That would make those perfectly viable at I don't know if they'll go all the way up to Wii U, but
Yeah.
especially with
And
DS and 3DS. That would make that perfectly viable where I'm like, hey, that's perfect. But if that's going to be like a main defining system or feature for a system for the Switch 2, you don't want to give it too close to those Wii U kind of like feels because then you're kind of treading upon old water and stuff like that, though. But as long as that's just an option and it's not necessarily mandatory, I don't think there's going to be anything bad having that casting like feature and stuff. At least that kind of gives it a little bit of an actual flair, though. But it can still do everything that the OG Switch can do,
yeah, it gives it a
just an
unique
extra level. So I
it,
think that would be a better execution of what the Wii U was trying to do.
it gives it something unique that they could market it with, but it's also a lot simpler. Like that would be so much more simple than what the Wii U was trying to do, you know? Like this would kind of be the true evolution of Wii U, you know what I mean? Cuz the Wii U, the thing that restricted it was that the gamepad had to be close to the system. The gamepad was not truly portable. Now, we have a handheld that can either dock into your TV for pure one screen play or can be cast onto the TV for dual screen play. And it would work, Zard, because the Switch has a touchscreen. So you can perfectly replicate DS bottom screen on your Switch.
So what you mean to tell me is we don't have no excuses, Pokemon Company. You can run that mess back and bring back the best spin-off series y'all have ever made in the Pokemon franchise. And yes, I'm referring to my stinking Pokemon Ranger series. You get to buy all of those games on the Wii U Virtual Console, and now you can add that mess in NSO servers. Run that mess back, Pokemon Company. Run it back. You ain't got no excuses now. And then also Kid Icarus Uprising. I still want that to be a remaster or a port or something like that though. But now you ain't got no excuses from that part either though.
Yeah. In other news, though, about Switch 2, floodgates have opened on everything, not just a C button that we kind of already knew about from leaked screenshots of the Joy-Cons. We know for a fact that this thing is going to have slightly rounded Joy-Cons with magnetic locking systems and a button on the back to release them. So it should be a lot more sturdy of a connection. Instead of them wobbling inside of the railing, they just
Yeah.
magnetically connect on.
That was like my biggest pet peeve with the
I
OG
hate
Switch.
it.
Like it was good at launch, but the longer you had your system and the more you played it in handheld, the more and more you'll notice that it will kind of wobble around. And I think if you drop it the wrong way, it will just shoot up out of the system.
Yeah,
And I was like, all right,
the
I'm kind of
railing
done
would
with the
wear
I'm done with
down.
the railing system though. Hence, I just use usually a bunch of pro controllers unless I have to take the Switch out and I start playing it in handheld mode. Which there's different things and accessories you can get that have like pro like feel with like the certain kind of grips that you have up on there though. So I'm kind of curious. I guess some third party people are going to come up with that stuff again. I'm curious to see if Nintendo will have like a pro dedicated Joy Cons outside of just the traditional ones we kind of saw in these leaks. I mean,
Yeah,
you would think Nintendo might want to go that route, like because like based on what we have right now, it seems like the D-pad is still the traditional four buttons, like as if you're gonna flip the Joy-Con around and do it sideways. Though, but what about it for somebody that just wants to play handheld and they're gonna be the only person do? Because I know Nintendo has these stats and stuff like how often people play handheld versus console, tabletop, etc. Though, so I'm like, I hope they kind of looked at that mess and they kind of have like an official pro Joy Cons or something. Like I don't know what you would call that mess though,
it was
but
skewed.
like
It
just
was
have a
skewed
dedicated
towards
D
handheld more.
pad on it. Oh, what
It
were you
was
saying?
definitely, it was definitely skewed more towards handheld.
Yeah.
Which they have, it has a large. The new one has a larger screen, 8 inches screen, and bigger Joy Cons. It should be more comfortable to play in handheld just with those. The Joy Cons have to be bigger because the screen is bigger.
Hmm.
To accommodate for that. We got a lot of stuff. I feel like we got a new accessory every single day. Okay? It was a lot.
It was kind of ridiculous. I was looking at. Remember, we started off. I think the first tangible thing we had was something with the goodness. It was something with like that casing. It was like that gray case. And remember how like all the guts out, but it looked like a really extreme plastic mold. I think that was like our first evidence of us having anything Switch 2 related. And then since then, we just had like a bunch of different accessories and cases and stuff that would just go over things of that nature and stuff though. So it's like everybody and their mama's coming, even to the point where you have official companies such as D Brand, their own
Yeah.
CEO came out and said, "Yeah, what you saw is what you saw, and I have no other comments to say up on it." That's literally what he said. And I
Well,
was
no,
like, "Well,
he said that inside of that case is a real Switch 2.
yeah, essentially what you saw is what you saw, and we ain't saying nothing else about it." I was like, and that was it. I was like, well,
Oh,
gosh
yeah.
dang. So I think now people are just kind of like, all right, we kind of know what the outside of what the system looks like now between the C button, the magnetic Joy Cons and stuff, the button on the back that pops them back out or releases the magnetic grip up on there. So everybody knows what the outside it is. It's just the Nintendo Switch, but better. Hopefully, the execution with the Joy Cons and how they feel and attach. So now we're just kind of wanting to know, well, what's the internal guts? Like, what makes this system a little bit different or stronger, and everything else in
Well,
between
okay,
in comparison to
we
the baseline
know
Switch?
we know the specs because of shipping manifests. It's gonna be PS4 Pro level at most.
So we do know about that kind of power, but I'm just more so thinking about you can bring up like your specs and stuff. I remember like in the lead of the PS5 with the teraflops and stuff, like people were just thinking, well, you can have all the power in the world, but it's more like the execution and stuff. So on paper, it sounds like this system's gonna be more capable. I think people just kind of want to see it in action, like just start to see the
Yeah.
games and stuff. Because like we've seen so many rumors at this point, it's like I guess now it's just like people just waiting for official confirmation at this point.
Yeah, if I had to play it safe, it's gonna be in between Steam Deck and PS4 Pro levels, which is not bad considering. I'm gonna double check this. I think Steam Deck can run Spider-Man Remastered at like a
No,
good frame rate.
yeah, I mean, no, Steam Deck can, as well as like my ROG Ally can also do it as well, and it's not bad. So I mean, if you're able to pull that mess off, you're checking off a lot of boxes, at least for a handheld system.
Oh yeah, it can run a pretty stable 30 FPS. The Steam Deck can. I don't know what they're gonna do because yeah, I feel like this thing would probably have more power than a Steam Deck coming out afterwards. And also remember, Nintendo's got like a partnership with Nvidia for a specialized chip.
Hmm. I
Very
mean, yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
So
they have to
power wise,
always do that.
and I don't really like talking about power when it comes to a Nintendo system. I'm just hoping it's enough to run their own games at good frame rates.
Hey,
That's all I
that
care about.
silly old Mario and Luigi. Ooh, at some points, I was like, my goodness. I was like, yeah,
Seriously,
we started. We started
60 FPS patch for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but yes, also Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because even Nintendo was kind of suffering on some of their games. Not all of them, but a few of them, you can kind of start seeing it. It's like, all right, you can tell that they're kind of pushing this system at its limits now. So I was like, hey, we got to up the scale at least a little bit, though.
Yeah, and then I think one of the last things I want to talk about for now, because trust me, we're gonna talk about this thing again. I guarantee the next podcast we do after this one will be right before Switch 2 is revealed.
It might, and I'm looking at this calendar, it very well might be, yeah, the next one we do might be the last one right before it gets revealed because next time we'll do the podcast episode, it'll be like literally a
Mid
couple weeks from now on
January.
like January 5th or something like that. I think it's the day I had it
Yeah.
slated for.
So besides everything with magnetic Joy Cons, C button, and like specs, we still know nothing about what Nintendo has planned for this thing. It has not leaked out what could be happening. I don't know if you know this. On the Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit, there have been rumors brewing. So somebody that apparently was in a promotional video that was able to get their hands on a uh they got their hands on a final model of Switch 2, but they were not able to turn it on. They said that the Nintendo is planning 3 SKUs for this system. One that's completely black, one that's completely either white or gray,
I think I
and
saw
then
white. Yeah.
the last, well, that's just a mock-up image. I know which one you're talking about.
Mm.
But it's like going to be close to what it looks like. It had like a smaller dock. Did you see the image I'm thinking of?
Yeah, it had like a smaller dock. The dock was kind of like
Yeah.
like curved or I guess
And
proof
then
of
the
concept,
the last thing that this rumor says is that there will be a special edition for a game that has the number 9 in it.
which
So,
a lot of people are thinking Mario Kart 9.
and one of the accessories that leaked was a single Joy-Con steering wheel. I think that speaks for itself, personally. I think that if the system isn't launching with Mario Kart 9, it's sure as hell getting it before the summer.
No, was still was, or at least in my gut, I always had the thought of when you look back at the original Nintendo Switch, Breath of the Wild launched with it in the month of March. What came the very next month? In the month of April of
Yeah,
2017, it was Mario
I
Kart
think
8 Deluxe. So I'm almost convinced at this point it'd be pretty bold to have Mario Kart in the first launch month. But I'm fully expecting within the first 3 months, I'm expecting the new Mario Kart game to come out with this system.
I really hope so. Nintendo needs to have a strong start for this thing to do well. And another thing, the thing I wanted to end on, I just wanted to bring up the rumors. Apparently, the guy that's rumoring this is saying that he's going to actually give real evidence to support this on Christmas Day.
And I
Right
remember
now,
I remember seeing that mess, and I was like, "What
and
the
like, cause
heck?"
basically, I guess the mods on the subreddit have confirmed in private that like this stuff is most likely real. But anything could happen. This stuff could be fake for all we know.
It
But in
could be fake. He
in
could
4 days'
3D render
time,
this, or right before Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, they're gonna think and Santa Claus is gonna be making his ho 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 appearance though, and it's gonna be the Nintendo Ninjas climbing down that chimney, and they might get this man on Christmas Eve
yeah.
before the Christmas Day. Hey, I'm telling
So
you that
we'll
he's thinking everybody's gonna be out of the office on Christmas Day. I mean, Nintendo and their ninjas, they don't play around with that mess. We might see an example being made. I'm just saying.
we will see, honestly. But the last thing that this is kind of not even mentioning that leak. This is like completely separate. I think it's basically almost confirmed that the system is just going to be called Nintendo Switch 2, which is the best possible outcome. You gotta admit. Like, there's a lot of factors for why calling it Nintendo Switch 2 is the best. Number one, they've already confirmed backwards compatibility. No one's gonna get confused that Switch 2 games work with a Switch. Or or Switch games work with a Switch 2. That just seems natural. Same thing. Every backwards compatible Nintendo system has had that kind of mentality to it. Except the Wii and the GameCube, they both used the discs, so that was pretty self-explanatory. Like made enough sense for the consumer to try it. Wii to Wii U. you know, pretty self-explanatory. DS to 3DS backwards compatibility was there. Like for the most part, Nintendo tries to keep backwards compatibility when they're doing a direct successor to their
Game Boy to
console.
Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, the Wii U was really the only situation where they had to do something different because they were doing cartridges again. But since they're doing backwards compatibility, and also the fact that Nintendo Switch Online is continuing to the next system, what are
Hey,
they gonna fucking rename it?
yeah, you can still call that Nintendo Switch
Do you
Online
listen?
because
Do you know how
then that
many?
will still work with Nintendo Switch 2 and it should still work within, your regular Nintendo Switch ecosystem, like the number
Yeah,
one. So it makes perfect
renaming it,
sense.
renaming it is a stupid idea because Nintendo Switch Online is a perfect name that could work for the Switch and Switch 2. You get Switch Online, it works for both.
It could keep going, honestly. If they pull like Sony and do like a PS PlayStation, PS2, PS3, PS4, and
NS1,
that Nintendo
NS2,
Switch Online thing, it's perfect. It doesn't really have to ever change. It could stay
Well, yeah,
exactly the same if they keep this same
like
mantra.
they already have how many promotional materials out for NSO? You know,
Yeah. And
like
like, it's attached
it's a
with the games and
subscription.
stuff. Yeah.
It's not like Wii U where the online was free, so moving over was nothing. This is completely separate. This is like this makes enough sense. You move to the next system. Nintendo Switch Online immediately already has your cloud saves, the digital games you purchased from Switch 1, makes it a seamless transition. I think that's what Nintendo wants, is to give
Yeah.
the customer a seamless transition from Switch 1 to Switch 2.
And I
Maybe keep the same eShop. I kind of hope they change that, but we know nothing about the firmware yet. And there's a lot of other reasons. For example, I don't want this thing crashing and burning like the Wii U did. The Wii U had a terrible name, and the marketing for it was only showing the controller. A lot of people just thought it was like a Wii Fit, where it was just a new accessory.
and I know my parents were like that too, and I had to break it down to them just to convince them to get the system. And they were like, "Wait, don't you
Nobody,
already have that?" And I'm like, "No."
nobody confuses a PlayStation 2 for a PlayStation 1. No one confuses a PS3 for a PS2. When you have a number that usually signifies it's the next one.
And
You
I
know?
and I think even
It
more
makes
so with this being a Nintendo Switch successor, it makes
yeah,
more perfect sense to put a number 2 next to it because literally, look, based on those concept videos that we saw, even for the dummy system, you put that system and imagine if there was, the actual integrals in it, and you put that right next to the original Switch, you might not notice the difference between them outside of what's on the logo.
yeah,
Unless you're
and
like a
people
dedicated person like one of us that can boot up the system and kind of tell the difference, maybe with the UI or something. For the casual consumer, if you don't make it
Mhm.
simple like a PS2 or something like that, you're gonna lose some people. So
Yeah,
it could
like
easily be a Wii U situation. So Furukawa, I keep saying this again, this man's a businessman. And like I don't think he's pulling any of his punches. Like he's gonna steamroll
yeah,
this thing and make it as easy and convenient to everybody.
good because I want the system to do well. I want Nintendo to just do well because when Nintendo's doing well, we get the things we want. We've gotten so many dream games that I never thought we'd get because the Switch is successful and is allowed to take risks when it needs to for certain games. It's a good time to be a Nintendo fan. Like Nintendo's kind of on top right now because PlayStation and Microsoft really don't have their next gen stuff coming for a while.
Oh no, no, PlayStation.
And
That's another 4 years off. Xbox could be within the next 2 years, is what I've been kind of
yeah,
hearing.
but
So
Nintendo,
everybody's about to, and then Nintendo's is going to be next year. So everybody's about to get off on a weird off, you know, everybody's going to be offbeat a little bit. Like I don't think anything's going to perfectly line up. And
yeah,
at that point, competition really starts to become a thing for innovation because you got to do what you got to do in terms of bringing people back within your ecosystem. And at least at the point where Nintendo's standing right now, where are we at, Steven? Like 146 million, somewhere around there.
something something crazy like that. It just outsold the PS2
And it actually has
in the US.
outsold all consoles here in the US, like what you said
That's
with
what
the
I said.
PS2, and it sold, obviously, it's been like that for a while. Same thing for Japan. I think Europe is the only weird region where maybe some PlayStation system over there is still a little higher though. But I mean, Nintendo Switch was knocking on the doorstep. on the PS2 until Mark Cerny came over here and moved the goalpost from like 155 now to 160. That PlayStation 30th anniversary stuff, though. But I digress. Regardless, though, they have the cornerstone in the Japanese market, which that's where a lot of your RPGs. I'll go ahead and say this right now. Games that like Sega with Atlas, like Persona 3 Reload, Metaphor Refan to Zero, I'm fully confident within that first year that the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, I imagine we're gonna get big RPG games like that. I imagine your Final Fantasy 7 remakes, your Final Fantasy 7 rebirths and
Do
stuff.
it
I
Fire
imagine
Emblem.
yeah, they're gonna roll that mess over. Square Enix is gonna roll those titles over. Like you're gonna see so many different RPGs. I imagine that, even when we had that Yakuza, what game was that, Steven? One of the Yakuza games came to the Nintendo Switch at like the ninth hour. I imagine we'll get
Uh,
even more of
the
those
first
with
one,
like a Dragon and stuff.
Kiwami.
Yeah, yeah,
Kiwami is the first one.
yeah, that one. So I imagine we'll get even more support from Sega and stuff in terms of those
I would hope
titles.
so. I would really hope we just get more multiplats. I want Tekken. I want Street Fighter 5 or 6. I
No, it'll be
want
Street
was
Fighter Six, I
hopefully
think.
6. I'd hope it would be 6. I just want more stuff. And oh my god, look what Nintendo was able to do with like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild with Switch hardware. What they're gonna be able to do with PS4 hardware with the correct optimization, I'm gonna be fucking amazed.
Hey, as long as the developers are up to it, though. But in terms of like or not the companies, in terms
Competition.
of the no, not the competition. In terms of the studios, that I'm really looking forward to see who can use the hardware the best. You know the answer to this, Steven. Monolith Soft.
Well, that's a
They're
great
they're
answer,
one of
and
Nintendo's
they're
best studios, and I'm like,
they're
I can only
definitely at
imagine
work.
what it's going to look like with that. Also, kind of curious about next level games, though. I can only imagine what a Luigi's Mansion 3 could also look like as well. But
Well, you mean 4.
or oh, I said 3. I meant 4. Yeah, Luigi's Mansion
Well,
4.
I
I
kind of hope they're doing a different game. I kind of hope they're doing a different Nintendo series, but
I hope so too,
we'll
but I
see.
still want to see a Luigi's Mansion 4. How well Luigi's Mansion 3 sold, it'll be kind of dumb if they didn't. So
I
hopefully
feel
they
like
do that in something else.
I feel like with how great they are with the animations, they'd do an amazing Donkey Kong game and just visually.
Now, Steven,
But
don't give
I
me
am not
Steven.
getting my hopes up.
Steven, I'm holding the mic now. Please do not give me hope. All right.
I
I've been
all
waiting for a
right,
gosh dang
let's
forever for a brand new Donkey Kong game. And all we got next year for 2025 and the start of the new year with January is DKC returns, returns, man. I'm like, look, there's only so many times you can say Donkey Kong Country has truly returned. This is the third
yeah.
time, man. We need a new Donkey Kong game. And gosh dang it, even at the point of this recording, we still don't have Donkey Kong 64. I thought we were gonna get that mess, but we still didn't. Goodness.
Well, yeah, listen, we have a lot coming up. We have a lot of games in the pipeline. We have a lot of games we don't know about, but basically I think it's basically just an unsaid fact that a 3D Mario is finally coming soon. It's been 8 it's going to be 8 years going on by the time 2025 rolls around. Bowser's Fury is the blueprint. I want to see what that game kind of led to. I think that'd be great. Um I'll I'm not going to go way too hard into speculation about games. I think we should do that next time we are here, but I just kind of I was kind of got off track, but the whole thing is basically that the Switch 2 will absolutely just be called the Switch 2. It's got too much advertising already leaning into that. It's got too much of a game library that already relies on that. It's literally going to have the exact same controller layout, exact same buttons for the most part. And come on, if Switch games are compatible, I'm assuming the old Joy-Cons and Pro controllers will also be compatible.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's just that, obviously they won't dock to the
Yeah.
system itself, but you'll just use them as like Bluetooth standard controllers, and that should
Yeah.
be fine.
That's yeah. Like I know people want it to be called something unique, like the Nintendo Snap because they snap into place with the
Or
magnets.
I
No,
also heard about Super Switch. That would have been a cool one though, but I don't think that old '90s advertising is
listen,
gonna work when in the modern age where we're at right now.
Zard, if consumers were not fucking stupid, I would love for it to be called the Super Switch.
I mean, it kind of
Not,
made sense, but
you know,
obviously, if they're trying to go with like this, you know, future theming and titles and stuff in terms of like what could be a Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 3, the PlayStation effect, I guess is what you can kind of call it. Then, yeah, it makes sense just to call this the number two and keep your options open because you never know. You might keep rolling with this thing. Like this might be like like the equivalent like having an Apple or like an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy or whatever though, and you're just literally
Yeah,
changing the number. When
but
the time is
yeah,
convenient, when the technology gets a little bit better.
yeah, but unlike phones, this is actually going to be a significant jump.
That is true because I mean with the phones, yeah, they just trying to get more revenue and stuff. That's just how it is. But man, I think in terms of most of the rumors, Steven, I think we about covered it all. I mean, it was
Yeah,
just
we did.
mostly just, we got so many different third party manufacturers and stuff for those cases and stuff. The C button, we covered that, and the title mostly being switched to. And then everybody just has to keep their eyes open on Christmas Day because we might get treated to either someone showing off that Switch 2, and they said it was like a what I guess what would be a retail version, one that will almost look like it. No, I doubt it will perfectly work or something like
Well,
that.
the guy said that he wasn't able to turn it on, so it'll probably just be pictures of the finalized Switch 2, like in person.
Well, then that means something wasn't turned on or it's missing a part up in there though. So it's
Who
almost kind of
knows?
like a dummy system. Almost. I don't know.
To be
Unless that
fair,
dude cracks it open.
it could be a very similar situation. Remember the original Switch reveal trailer where they were playing Mario Odyssey in handheld mode? That was not real footage of Mario
Oh, no, no,
Odyssey.
no.
They
Yeah,
they
no, I
photoshopped
heard I
that on.
heard that was yeah, Kit and Krista, they said yeah,
So
they weren't doing that. They just had like a dummy switch and yeah, like what you said, they photoshopped that over the screen and
could
stuff.
be a could be a very similar situation, I feel.
Yeah, it probably could be. I ain't really expecting more of it. Honestly, like with the dummy footage that we already have right now on Twitter, it might be the same exact thing. And I'm gonna be like, well, what the heck? Like you're, you know, sizing this up to be like a great reveal, but it turns out to be nothing. Or we could be greeted to those Nintendo ninjas sneaking in on Christmas night and busting up into the place on Christmas Eve. But who's to say something's gonna go down on that day? Hopefully, I'm not opposed to either or. I think it'll be pretty entertaining one way or the other though. But I think that's about it in terms of all of the rumors and well, that's honestly gonna do it in terms of my ZardCast episode 95 special though. And man, oh man, Steven, it's been a crazy 2024. Man, oh man. Once again, I just want to say thank you to all of my listeners out there that's been going through and listening to my podcast series for the whole entire year of 2024. And if you manage to stick with me all the way to the very end, I greatly appreciate all of the love and support you have given to me. Whether you've been listening to this here on the YouTube side of things, where I usually will premiere it live, or if you haven't been listening to any of the audio only versions, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, the list kind of goes on and on. But I just want to say thank you, thank you to all y'all, and also thank you, Steven, for being the co-host on the channel, though. You got any other wise words for people as they're about to leave the year 2024 and jump into the year 2025?
Happy holidays, everyone. Don't do anything stupid, okay? Just make some good New Year's resolutions, give yourself some goals. God knows I need to. And have a good Christmas. And enjoy any games you might get or presents you might open. At least for me, I just moved into a new place, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a Christmas. But, just being with family is all that matters at the end of the day.
Hey, I couldn't have said it much better than myself. And to all the parents out there that might be listening to this, if you're giving a I would say one of your kids or a family member or somebody, if you're trying to give them a brand new system, whether it be a Switch system, a PS5, or hopefully not an Xbox. Apparently, Xbox ain't got no games and stuff. They say now your PC's on Xbox though. We didn't want to dig up that can of worms though. Make sure to boot up those systems and get them all set up and stuff with like the online stuff because every year typically the eShops or PlayStation stores, they typically like to crash on Christmas Day. I don't know if they're gonna do that now. I feel like a lot of people have those systems that really want to have them. So I can't remember last year if I remember hearing those systems like crash or something like that with the online and stuff though. But it is usually a busier day with servers, so just kind of keep that in mind though. But yeah, once again, just want to wish everybody have a happy holiday. If you celebrate Christmas, enjoy that mess. Or if you happen to celebrate any other holiday, I just hope everybody has a wonderful time and also have a very happy new year. For me and the rest of the ZardCast crew, we just want to say have a happy holiday though. And that's gonna basically do it in terms of my ZardCast episode 95 with the holiday special though. So if you really like this, make sure to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related. I feel like talking about and discussing. If you haven't been listening to this on any one of my audio versions of the podcast, whether it be Amazon, Apple, Spotify, oh gosh, I was blanking on one other thing. iHeartRadio. Yes, you can listen to me in the car. Make sure to go ahead and leave a review right there. Hit the like, give it a 5-star review. Just let people know we're just a couple dudes that just love talking about video game related stuff, pop culture, and everything else in between those. So remember, y'all, until our video I make next, until my next ZardCast episode, that being my episode 96, which I'm looking at my calendar right now. I'm tentatively planning on that one to drop out on January 5th for the first episode of 2025. I'll see y'all later.